Greetings and welcome back to Doctor Who Revisited, where I go through every single episode of Doctor Who from 1963 all the way to 2023 and review them. And now we are on to Revenge of the Cybermen. It's an episode. That's all I can say. It's an episode and it exists. Now, I'm not necessarily saying it's bad. I don't hate it as much as some people do, but I mean, there really isn't that much happening in this episode. I gotta be honest. And as for a season finale, it's kind of disappointing. Now, this episode does introduce a lot of interesting new concepts to the show, but before we can talk about them, let's talk about just how this episode starts. So suddenly we're back on the Nerva beacon after all these different episodes of just wibbly wobbling around, and yet it's not the same Nerva beacon, or it is the same, but it's thousands of years before. I don't know what happened there, but yeah. So this is just kind of goes into how the season was run, and I said a couple of times already, I loved that. I loved that the way the season turned out, where they in episode 2 they land on this beacon, and then every single other episode they just go to other different places without the TARDIS. Like the next episode is on Earth, on the surface. The next episode's on Skaro. They were transported by Time Lords, and now they're back. So I loved all this moving around. It's just, it kind of feels weird that the Time Lord just brought them back to the same place, but definitely not the same time. So I guess even the Time Lords get stuff wrong. The navigation. So you can't keep using the excuse, blaming it on the Doctor, that the Doctor doesn't know what he's doing when he's piloting the TARDIS, or that the TARDIS has a mind of his own. Even the Time Lords get it wrong from time to time. So it is what it is, and I just love that moment of Harry just going, "Can I keep this ring? Sure, you can have it," and just fizzes away. So yeah, I love that, and I think I said this several times already. The Harry and the Doctor dynamic really works, and as much as I dislike the character, I can't deny that the Doctor just constantly dissing him and keeps throwing these jabs at him. They're effective. They work. Just, he's definitely a character, and we're gonna get into something else about Harry later in this review. But yeah, so right off the bat, you kind of thrown into a situation of like I said, it's the same place, not the same time, and some stuff definitely happened there before the Doctor and friends showed up, and we're sort of being treated to the same Cyberman disease again. Obviously, no spoilers there. We know it's a Cybermen story because there's Cybermen literally in the title, and of course it takes a while until the Cybermen show up, as per usual. But at least this time the Cybermen are coming. They're not trying to hide it, because the Doctor mentions the coming of Cybermen way before the Cybermen actually physically show up. But I mean, you see Cybermats, and I don't love the new design of the Cybermats. I think they just look bad. As cheesy as they looked, I loved the original design of the Cybermats, and even the modern design of the Cybermats look pretty cute. But this design, it just looks terrible. But yeah, so we got Cybermats back, and we get that same virus that is associated with the Cybermen. We've seen it in the Moonbase episode. This time we actually get to see it in color and in better quality, I should say. But so yeah, Cybermen are coming. You see where the direction is going, and there's some human survivors there, but mostly just a pile of bodies. And as grim and morbid as it is, there is kind of something creepy and creepily entertaining about seeing the Doctor and friends just walking down this big long corridor filled with bodies all over the floor, wall to wall, all over the floor. Yeah, just imagery wise, it's scarring, but also weirdly entertaining. It kind of gives you the vibes of an interesting episode about to come. And we're going to skip ahead to some of the more interesting parts about this episode. That's just how I roll with these Doctor Who Revisiteds. But you get the Vogons. Not the ones from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. different ones. So these guys basically have a planet of gold that for some reason just became the 13th moon of Jupiter for some reason, because they're hiding from the Cybermen after the Cyber War. And the Cyber War is an interesting topic to maybe talk about later. It's very slightly touched on in some Doctor Who episodes, much more expanded upon in other Doctor Who media, and it's very, very large, expansive, and to be frankly, complicated that talking about it in this review just doesn't really do it justice. So we're just gonna say that it's post the Cyber Wars, or rather one of the Cyber War, and the Vogons are basically in hiding because they have a planet of gold, and apparently gold is the Cybermen's number one weakness. Who knew? Because it's incorruptible and it suffocates them or whatever. But yeah, this kind of becomes a weapon used against the Cybermen in several episodes moving forward, and just completely dropped in the modern series. But yeah, it's sort of a weird kryptonite thing. It's almost like Green Lantern's biggest weakness is the color yellow, or the other Green Lantern's biggest weakness is wood for some reason. It's like, take the most obscure thing you can think of, that's the weakness. But you know what? It's effective. It helps. It serves the story. You kind of need something to be the antithesis of the Cybermen. Could be an interesting title for a Doctor Who episode once upon a time. But you need something very interesting to be the counter for the Cybermen, to make them much more killable, as it were. I mean, something that you can actually stand up against. So I like that they introduced that. The Vogons themselves. So we're back to the cheesy yellow face stuff. And you know what? They're supposed to be aliens from another planet. So I guess I can excuse that. The masks look totally ridiculous. And it kind of begs the question, do they all have the silvery white hair? Or is it that they just, they're the elders of the tribe or the species or whatever? Or maybe, I mean, wouldn't have much of a problem if they all just have this old man hair. But I would have loved to learn a little bit more about them. It's great that they introduced the inner conflict between the one side of the Vogons and the other side, and I really love their costumes, not the masks, of course, the dresses and the clothes and whatnot. I think they were really inventive and creative. And oh yeah, guess what? They have the Seal of Gallifrey. So like, at some point, someone saw that symbol and said, "You know what? I like that. This should be the symbol for the Time Lords. Just forget these guys ever existed." So like, even the production team wanted to bury these guys and pretend this episode never existed. But and we don't forget, apparently. So yeah, it's a really lovely looking sign, and I love the architecture of some of the set designs for the Vogons. But they're there just to serve a purpose. Like I said, it's an interesting inner conflict between the two sides, the two factions. But really, they're just there to provide the gold, which is how the Cybermen get defeated eventually. And speaking of the Cybermen, once they finally show up, it's basically the same design as the Invasion. They just worse. They took some of the handlebars on the sides and turned them into tubes. They made them tubular. I will say this: I love that they introduced the concept of the Cyber Leader has the black handlebars and the headphones, for lack of a better word. So it's nice that they're introducing a Cyberman hierarchy, which was kind of always there, but it's nice that we get to differentiate between who's a cyber leader and who's a cyber underling. But like I said, I mean, the design isn't that striking. I mean, I love the Invasion design. This one just takes it and makes it bad. I don't know what to say. And the effects of the weapons coming from their foreheads, like sploosh, and the sound effects not that really good. I don't know what it is. I just don't like these versions of the Cybermen, and it's the plot of what's the guy's name, Kelman, where um he said he's working against the humans. You don't know why. Turns out he's actually working for the Cybermen, and then oh yeah, no, he's actually a double agent. He's working for the Vogans. So yeah, whose side is he really on besides himself? Yeah, that's a bit convoluted and complicated. Uh, Very hard to follow. Not really the best well thought out plans, but it's a plan, I suppose. It's a plot. It's a Doctor Who villain plot, and yeah, the Cybermen's plot of just strapping the Doctor and other people with some bombs and sending them to Voga. It's a pretty interesting plan. It's a good Cybermen plot, but there's the giant major flaw in it that the Doctor eventually finds out. Works out pretty easily. It's like this whole place is covered with gold, so the signal is not gonna reach, and that's how eventually they stop the Cybermen. That's how they were able to take off the Cybermen bombs with the use of the gold. So you're sending them to a place you want to blow up, knowing that it can disable the bombs. Maybe they haven't thought of it. I don't know. You know, there's some weird stuff there, but it did lead us to, in my opinion, the best moment of the entire serial and one of the greatest Doctor Who moments of all time. Just the Fourth Doctor yelling at the top of his lungs, "Harry Sullivan is an imbecile!"
Harry Sullivan is an imbecile!
That moment is just so glorious and amazing, and I love it. And it just the buildup of the Doctor's frustration with Harry all throughout the season to finally explode in that moment. And you know what? Credit where is due. I mean, Harry, in his rush to help the Doctor, it has good intentions. In his rush to help the Doctor, he drops all these rocks on him, and he tries to take off the bomb, not knowing it's going to set it up. I mean, he doesn't know that he's going to explode if he does that. He's just trying to do the right thing, but I mean, essentially, he's trying to kill the Doctor without realizing it, and that actually leads to a cliffhanger. So, how many companions do you know do that? That one of the cliffhangers is mainly because they're trying to unknowingly kill the Doctor by mistake. So yeah, that was pretty fun and funny, and all that stuff. But yeah, so they kind of abruptly, after they destroy the Cybermen, it's a nice moment of the beacon try to spinning all the way around Voga. I kind of like that effect, but yeah, it's other than that, it's an episode. Not much I can say about it. It's just Cybermen. You haven't seen the Cybermen in a while, and we're not gonna see them again for a very long time. So I don't know what else to tell you. So just let's wrap this up and move on to the next season. So yeah, thank you for watching. If you have, let me know what you all thought about this episode. If you love it or hate it, let me know in the comments below, and I will see you in the next season. Goodbye for now, and have a jelly baby. Hi there! Thank you for watching the video. And if you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and tell your friends. I'll see you next time.